festival for feminist movements. We invite you to join us in creating a space that invites and challenges us all to operate from a place of courage, curiosity, and bravery. We have live language interpretation available in this session. Look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You will see an icon of a globe, which reads, if you're reading an English interpretation, click on it and select the language you would like to receive interpretation in. So if you'd like interpretation in English, click on English. We also have closed captioning available in this session. Look on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and you'll see an icon which in English reads Live Transcript. Click on it and you will have the option to show subtitles or to view the full transcript. You can also change the size of the text. To do this, click on Subtitle Settings and change to large. If you would like to change your name, click on the Participants button at the top of the Zoom window. Hover your mouse over your name in the participants list on the right-hand side and click on Rename. Enter the name you'd like to appear in the Zoom meeting and click on OK. We invite you to join the Global AWID membership family. And to do this, visit our website, www.awid.org, and click to learn more about why you should become an AWID member. Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Crear, Résister, Transform, un festival pour les mouvements féministes. C'est avec joie que nous vous accueillons à cet événement et vous encourageons à nous rejoindre dans les activités du festival qui auront lieu tout au long du mois de septembre. Nous vous invitons à nous rejoindre et à créer un espace qui nous invite à faire preuve de courage, de curiosité et de bravoure. Dans cette activité, nous avons une interprétation simultanée disponible en plusieurs langues. Dans la barre de menu en bas de l'écran, cliquez sur Interprétation. Cliquez ensuite sur la langue que vous souhaitez entendre. Pour n'entendre que la langue interprétée, vous pouvez cliquer sur Muter l'audio original. Nous avons également des sous-titres disponibles en anglais. Dans la barre de menu en bas de l'écran, cliquez sur Transcription en direct. Cliquez ensuite sur Montrer sous-titres. Pour lire la transcription complète, vous pouvez cliquer sur Voir la transcription complète. Et pour changer la taille du texte, cliquez sur Paramètres de sous-titres et choisissez Large. Pour changer votre nom après être entré dans une réunion Zoom, cliquez sur le bouton Participant en bas de la fenêtre Zoom. Ensuite, faites passer votre souris sur votre nom dans la liste de participants à droite de la fenêtre Zoom, puis cliquez sur Renommer. Tapez le nom que vous voulez voir apparaître dans la réunion Zoom et cliquez sur OK. Encore merci de votre participation. Nous vous encourageons à partager vos réactions et vos commentaires sur les réseaux sociaux en utilisant le hashtag FeministFestival et taguer l'AWID si vous pouvez. Nous vous invitons aussi à rejoindre la famille mondiale des membres de l'AWID. Pour ce faire, vous pouvez visiter notre site web à l'adresse www.awid.org et cliquer sur « En savoir plus sur pourquoi devenir membre de l'AWID ». Merci et profitez du festival.
Bienvenidos al festival Crear, Résister, Transform. AWID está comprometida con la creación de un espacio virtual que nos invite y desafíe a todos a funcionar desde un lugar de valentía, curiosidad, generosidad y responsabilidad compartida. Les invitamos a crear conjuntamente con nosotros espacios libres de acoso y violencia. Por favor, descarguen y revisen los principios de participación para el festival en awid.org/festival 2021. Tenemos disponible interpretación a distintos idiomas en vivo. Esto varía según cada sesión. Para activarla, en su menú de control, seleccionen el icono de Interpretation, elijan el idioma que quieren escuchar. Para escuchar solamente el idioma interpretado, seleccionen Mute Original Audio, silenciar el audio original de forma que solamente escuchen la interpretación en el idioma español si este es el que desean. También contamos con subtitulado disponible, en inglés únicamente, pero si lo desean activar, en los controles para la reunión hagan clic en subtitulado en vivo, Live Transcript. Después hagan clic en Show Subtitle, en mostrar subtítulos. Para ver el subtitulado completo, hagan clic en View Full Transcript, ver subtitulado completo. Para cambiar el tamaño del texto, hagan clic sobre Subtitle Settings, ajustes de subtítulos, y cámbienlo a grande, large. Si desean cambiar cómo aparece su nombre en Zoom, pueden hacerlo también. Para cambiar su nombre, después de entrar a una reunión de Zoom, hagan clic en el botón Participantes, en la parte de arriba de la ventana de Zoom. Después, deslicen el ratón sobre su nombre en la lista de participantes, que está a la derecha de la ventana de Zoom, y hagan clic sobre Renombrar. Escriban el nombre con el que quieren aparecer en la reunión de Zoom y hagan clic sobre OK. Lo más importante, únanse a AWID. Al unirse a AWID se suman un proceso organizativo feminista mundial, un poder colectivo surgido del trabajo entre movimientos y basado en la solidaridad. Ingresen a nuestro sitio web awid.org, membresía, para escuchar las razones por las cuales deberían ser parte de la membresía de AWID, o escríbanos a membership@awid.org. Gracias y continúen disfrutando el festival Crear, Resistir, Transforma.
Hello, everyone. Warm welcome on behalf of the entire group here, who's going to be taking you on a little journey and reflection, and sharing some reflections and learnings with all of you this morning, this evening, based on where you are. We're really glad to gather with you, and thank you, AWID, for organizing this festival. And that introduction really felt like we were embarking on a journey together. A warm welcome to everyone who's joining us from different parts of the world for today's session that's called Supporting the Self-Managed Abortion Doulas, Acompanantes, and Radical Networks of Support. Thanks to AWID for kind of taking us down a reflection of the feminist realities within the network that we are a part of. Everybody who's going to be sharing during this session is part of the Inroads network, the international network for the reduction of abortion, discrimination, and stigma. And as we reflected about feminist realities, or what we sometimes called anti-stigma practices, accompaniment of abortions was something that came to our mind. There's so many more practices that we could talk about, but this was one that we felt we wanted to share today with all of you. And as one of our members said at a recent Inroads session, the reason accompaniment is so important is it is a way to recover the love around abortions, a love that has been taken by patriarchy, transphobia, capitalism, racism, casteism, and all the isms, which we work every day to put an end to. We work to bust stigma. And as we all know, that self-managed abortions have revolutionized the ease and autonomy of abortions. And alongside self-managed abortions, it is communities of care that center tenderness, information sharing, and support that are the feminist reality that we will be centering today with all of you. I urge you, as you can read on the slide, to rename yourself, to share a bit of your movement or organization or group that you are affiliated with, where you are based, and to also include your pronouns. So there, you should have seen a slide about how to rename yourself. And we welcome that because we also encourage everyone here to interact with one another via the chat. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as I said, we are Inroads, the International Network for the Reduction of Abortion, Discrimination and Stigma. And today, that is September 28th, World Safe Abortion Day. A small cohort of us will be sharing with you. We will be sharing with you about practices, accomplishments, challenges, and realities that we have been discussing for several years, that we have been sharing with each other for several years, but especially since the outbreak of COVID, Inroads members who accompany abortions, especially self-managed abortions, as doulas, accompagnantes, and hotline workers have been gathering to share experiences more closely with one another, practices and challenges that have emerged at this time that we are all living through. Next slide, please. So I encourage you, as we get started, as we warm up and as we begin to listen to everyone, that each of you who's here with us, to just share in the chat a little bit about how you feel when I ask you the question, what does care and accompaniment around abortions feel like for you? What would a world where abortions are accompanied and cared for feel like? So please do put that in the chat, and we will read those as we go along. Next slide, please. Thank you, and I encourage you to keep putting those in the chat. I wanted to share with you a little graphic record of some of the sessions that we've been having to this conversation hasn't begun today, it's been going on for several years. And this graphic record tells the story of all of those conversations, especially in the last 1.5 years that Inroads members have come together in spacious solidarity to talk about community care and accompanying abortions in times of social distancing and the pandemic. So today, some members will be sharing their feminist realities and practices with all of us here. Can you take me to the next slide, please? So a little bit about this session. The goal for this workshop is to create a decolonized space where attendees can share resources, explore varying perspectives about accompaniment and self-managed abortion as a form of community care, which includes accompaniment networks, safety, emotional support, communication processes, and other liberatory practices that have been part of movements in the global South. This is an opportunity for us to share and create a vision for community support that goes beyond the state, especially during this pandemic and the lockdowns. You can also see on your screen a brief agenda for the day. I'm giving an introduction, and I'm going to invite very soon someone to give a brief overview. There will be 4 Inroads members who will be sharing from their contexts about accompanying abortions as a feminist reality. We will have a brief break for 5 minutes. And when we welcome you back, we will go into breakout rooms where you can choose a breakout room to discuss further with any of the speakers who are here today. And we will close with a drawing session together. So thank you once again, and I can see so many messages and reflections in the chat, so do take some time to read those. I want to welcome Daniela, if you could take me to the next slide. And a brief introduction of Daniela, who will be giving us an overview of the session. Daniela is a Mexican fat activist, feminist, bisexual, and social psychologist, and has 3 passions in life: being an abortion doula, her wife, and her English bulldog. Daniela collaborates with the RAMONA, where she fights for free sexualities without stigma for a happier and more tender world, and is based out of Hidalgo, Mexico. So welcome, Daniela. The microphone and the stage is yours.
Muchas gracias, Aditi. Ay, estoy muy emocionada y muy contenta de estar el día de hoy con todos ustedes. La verdad es que sí se siente como un viajecito que vamos a estar emprendiendo a lo largo de este rato que estaremos platicando, que estaremos reflexionando sobre el aborto y sobre todo sobre el acompañamiento a personas en situación de aborto. Cuando Aditi me invitó y me preguntó como por qué ser acompañante, ¿verdad? ¿Por qué ser doula? La respuesta es como muy larga, pero también me dio la oportunidad de tener muchas reflexiones al respecto, porque lo cierto es que uno solamente empieza como que a trabajarlo, a hacerlo, y pocas veces nos cuestionamos como la profundidad del por qué hacemos lo que hacemos, porque lo hacemos por instinto, la mayoría de las veces, ¿no? Entonces, podríamos pasar a la siguiente diapositiva, porfis. Bueno, pensaba como en el mismo título de este evento que ha tomado a lo largo de todo septiembre, que acompañar abortos pues también nos ayuda a construir realidades feministas. ¿Y por qué nos ayuda a construir realidades feministas? Pues es de lo que quiero platicar. Siguiente slide, por favor. Fue difícil, ¿verdad? Como que tomar decisión cuáles eran esos puntos, pero pues los puedo resumir en estos 4, que además van muchísimo más allá y nos pueden permitir otro tipo de sentipensares al respecto. Primero porque al final del día el servicio de aborto seguro es indispensable en todo el mundo, pero nos ha sido negado por el Estado, por los servicios de salud, por el patriarcado. Entonces, el hecho de que nosotras podamos acompañar abortos nos permite pues brindar por nosotras mismas estos servicios de forma autónoma, de forma colectiva, de forma comunitaria. Por otro lado, en una sociedad patriarcal que nos ha negado nuestro derecho a autodeterminar nuestros destinos, pues el aborto autónomo es revolucionario, como bien decía Aditi en un principio, el poder pensar que podemos tomar estos procesos que históricamente han sido excesivamente medicalizados y que el Estado ha tomado jurisdicción sobre ellos, el que nosotros nos podamos acompañar, nos podamos unir durante estos procesos, antes, el durante, incluso el después, porque también hay compañeras que se centran en el postaborto. Bueno, es una revolución absoluta que nos hace sentirnos dueñas de nuestros cuerpos y de nuestros destinos, ¿no? Además, creo que algo tan hermoso del acompañamiento es que nos permite repensarnos, como nuestro papel en este mundo, nuestro papel como personas feministas, como personas que tenemos procesos de autogestión, de revolución, ¿por qué no? Y desde luego que algo esencial, y para mí es lo más importante y para mí es lo que me sigue convenciendo de seguir siendo acompañante, es que al día a día yo sigo repensando nuestras relaciones con otras mujeres, con otras identidades sexogenéricas, ¿no? Cómo podemos llegar a puntos de horizontalidad, porque en ese momento en el que estamos acompañando a otra persona, estamos en el mismo piso, ¿no? Entonces, creo que esto es algo muy valioso, nos enseña a ejercitar nuestra ternura radical, nos enseña a ejercitar nuestra empatía, nuestro amor por otras mujeres, por otras personas, y creo que eso es algo que hace mágico estos procedimientos de acompañamiento. Y finalmente, como bien decía Aditi en un principio, yo considero el acompañamiento en aborto seguro como esa poción de amor contra el estigma de aborto, ¿no? Un buen acompañamiento, un acompañamiento centrado en la persona que está buscando nuestros servicios, al final del día lo que hace es que esos estigmas que rondan alrededor del tema del aborto pues puedan ser desenmarañados al poder entender el aborto como un proceso seguro, como un proceso normal, como un proceso responsable que nos une en ese momento a quien estamos acompañando, pero también a la acompañada con nosotros, ¿no? Entonces, La verdad es que yo podría pasármelo hablando, ¿verdad? De acompañamiento en aborto seguro porque lo amo. Además, quiero comentarles y me permito este pequeño comercial de que en Hidalgo, México, es nuestro primer 28S con aborto legal, seguro y gratuito. Es algo que me conmueve un montón porque... bueno, han sido luchas de años, de décadas, de generaciones anteriores y que desde luego que generaciones por venir tendrán que estar pendientes y no bajar la guardia. Entonces, muchísimas gracias por estas palabras y paso con mi compañera Sandra Cardona. Te amo, amiga. Bienvenida.
Wow. Comenzar así. Bueno, creo que va a empezar Katy, ¿no? Primero. ¿O no?
O si eres tu amiga.
So I was going to introduce Sandra,
Ok.
if that's all right.
Sí. Hola, ¿cómo es? Perdón, sí.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie with Inroads, and I have the great pleasure of introducing Sandra, who is a human sexual and reproductive rights advocate. She's recognized as a social feminist. She is focused in fighting for the right to a life free from violence for more than 20 years. She's a co-founder of the civil association Voces de Mujeres en Acción. She's currently the North Zone coordinator at Marie Stopes Mexico Foundation, where she works on sexual and reproductive rights. She's also the founder and member of the I Need an Abortion network, Necesito Abortar, where she accompanies women to get the right to decide so they can have a free and safe abortion at home. She's a legal companion in sexual violence cases and digital violence cases, a counselor of the Urgent Action Fund, a founder and part of the Network for Reproductive Justice, and a member of the Feminist Lawyers of Mexico network. Thanks, Sandra. Take it away.
Sí, buenos días. Pues muchísimas gracias antes que nada a Agui y a Inroads por haberme invitado. La verdad es que estoy súper contenta, pero al mismo tiempo nerviosa, pero también sé que estamos entre amigas, entre amigos, entre amigues, que estamos precisamente luchando por el derecho a decidir de las adolescentes, de las mujeres y de las personas con capacidad de gestar. Ay, perdón, algo se me puso aquí. Me siento súper contentísima de poder compartir precisamente y que conozcan un poco de lo que es nuestra red Necesito Abortar. Y bueno, qué mejor nombre, precisamente la red Necesito Abortar, qué mayor resistencia que pudimos crear desde el norte del país, desde el norte de México, que es precisamente el nombre de nuestra red, Necesito Abortar. Hace tiempo me acuerdo que tomábamos unas capacitaciones y nos preguntaron que cuál era nuestra forma, por ejemplo, de cuidarnos, de tener precauciones y todo esto. Y parte de lo que dijimos fue, pues, difícil, ¿no? Porque nuestra red se llama Necesito Abortar, o sea, no tiene otro nombre, la misma red lo dice, a lo que vas, quien nos busca. Entonces, creo que es algo que a mí me tiene muy contenta por eso. Que las mujeres saben qué quieren, qué necesitan. Nuestro lema precisamente, como lo pueden ver ahí, es yo sé que tú sabes lo que es mejor para tu vida. Nosotras acompañamos, y digo nosotros porque somos cerca de 20 mujeres quienes acompañamos, que somos parte de la red, acompañamos precisamente tratando de erradicar el estigma totalmente. Trabajamos antes, durante y, como dice Daniela, después del proceso de aborto. Para mí es muy importante, y para todas nuestras compañeras, que el proceso de aborto que vivan las personas a las que acompañamos, lo vivan como un derecho y no como un delito. La verdad es que muchas mujeres, al menos en nuestro país, tienen miedo, por ejemplo, de buscar un aborto, tienen ese miedo, pero al llegar precisamente con las redes de acompañamiento, no solo con Necesito Abortar, sino con las redes de acompañamiento, ellas las acompañamos a que no carguen ese estigma, que deseen y que nos digan qué quieren hacer. Nosotras no les vamos a decir, no, tienes que abortar. No, 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 para nada. Es lo que ellas quieren hacer. Nos enfocamos principalmente, sobre todo, en la reducción de estigma durante los acompañamientos. Nosotros fuimos capacitadas cuando empezamos, me acuerdo, soy la fundadora de la red. Cuando comenzamos fue con las libres, tomando una capacitación con ellas, las libres de aquí de Guanajuato. Con ellas aprendimos este caminar. Y junto con ellas también fue Fundación Mary Stops, quien nos capacitó en el área médica. Para mí fue muy importante que nosotras como acompañantes supiéramos cómo brindar un acompañamiento, porque decirle a alguien cómo tener un aborto seguro, pues la verdad, simplemente se puede bajar el manual de la OMS, pero es aquí donde entra precisamente el acompañamiento. Para nosotras ha sido acuerpar. ¿Por qué? Porque ponemos no solamente el brindarles el acompañamiento. Desde nuestra red, aquí en el norte del país, lo que hemos hecho, por ejemplo, es recibir a las mujeres en nuestros hogares cuando no tienen un espacio donde puedan realizar su aborto. Y sobre todo que sepan que no están solas. Otra de las características que nosotras hemos implementado precisamente desde Necesito Abortar es acompañar en cualquier número de semanas. Eso no hay problema. También acompañamos a las mujeres cuando necesitan tener no solamente un aborto, sino ellas regresan y para nosotros lo hacemos sin estigma. Entonces, son dos de nuestras áreas que manejamos más principalmente. Por otro lado, tenemos y creamos el año pasado nuestro modelo Jaguar de acompañamiento, que significa juntas generamos unión al acompañar. El modelo Jaguar nace de verdad con muchísimo amor y como ven, es un animal representativo de aquí de México, pero sobre todo es un modelo para que pueda ir creciendo. Nosotras lo generamos desde las compañeras de la red y hay compañeras, por ejemplo, que ya lo toman y dicen, vamos a hacer esto, vamos a tomar esto de aquí y le vamos a agregar esto. Pues eso nos parece genial. Por eso es un modelo, porque puede ir cambiando, porque va creciendo. A mí me encanta y ahí viene precisamente sobre nuestra legislación, cómo se va construyendo el estigma y cómo precisamente quitártelo, cómo identificarlo. Entonces, si pueden verlo, con muchísimo gusto se los puedo compartir ahorita en el chat para que lo puedan descargar. Viene también el marco jurídico, sobre todo de aquí de Nuevo León, y cómo acompañamos también la NOM 046, que trabaja precisamente, son los criterios para prevención y atención de violencia sexual contra las mujeres. Por otro lado, siguiente diapositiva, por favor. Por otro lado, también tenemos algo que me llena de mucho orgullo y por favor, me siento feliz de compartirlo. Tenemos el primer cuento que realizamos precisamente gracias a Inroads y las libres que nos dieron la oportunidad de juntar historias de mujeres que habían vivido su aborto sin estigma, de mujeres y de un compañero trans. Entonces, este fue traducido al náhuatl y lo hemos compartido precisamente, nos ha servido para nuestros acompañamientos, eso creo que fue hace 3 años, para nuestros acompañamientos, y que las mujeres cuando quieren saber qué van a sentir, qué esperar, pues lo pueden ver ahí con las historias de otras mujeres. Nos ha tocado también mujeres de comunidad náhuatl que nos han dicho, yo hablo náhuatl, le entiendo mejor el náhuatl que el español, y la verdad es que ha sido una gran sorpresa para nosotras. Por otro lado, tenemos también el siguiente cuento. Apostamos muchísimo por la literatura que exista, que se pueda compartir. ¿A quién le digo? Esto es el aborto en la adolescencia. Es el caso de una chica que simplemente explorando su sexualidad pues queda embarazada precisamente y decidimos contarlo para que se vea que las mujeres podemos tener acceso a un aborto seguro y las adolescentes también. El último que hemos sacado y que vamos a seguir sacando más es Yo aborté con amor. Es una continuación de Aborto aquí te cuento, porque vienen historias precisamente de cómo abortaron mujeres, pero no solamente sin estigma, sino también lo hicieron con amor. Entonces es parte de lo que nosotras hemos trabajado y nos vemos en un ratito en las salas, en un ratito más. Un abrazo y ahorita les comparto los cuentos, las ligas para que puedan descargarlos. Gracias.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thanks, everyone, for inviting us. My name's Katie Gillum. I am also from Inroads. I'm really excited to get to spend September 28th with you all in this fabulous space, celebrating and lifting up what it means to do accompaniment, which truly has the word in it, company, and I'm excited to be in all of your company. I am also very excited to get to introduce you to our next speaker and fabulous Inroads member, Mcgreen Adjambo. She's a program coordinator at Tika, which is Trust for Indigenous Culture and Health, located in Kenya. She has a professional background in gender, women, and development, and over 5 years experience with specific program implementation in this area. Her roles include managing the Auntie Jane Hotline, doing advocacy and community engagement and social media under Tika's sexuality program, also called Our Bodies, Our Choices. And that program aims to offer safe spaces to women and girls to access and make informed SRH or choices. She shares a very powerful quote with you all right before she will take the mic herself. As a survivor of sexual violence, working with women and girls in the informal settlements of Nairobi who are vulnerable to and have survived sexual violence themselves, she has been highly affected with incidences of unsafe abortion, which contribute highly to maternal mortality in Kenya. With no access to adequate response services, greatly shaped her passion to accompanying women with their abortions. She holds a bachelor degree in gender and women's development studies from Egerton University in Kenya. Mickreen is a strong-willed lady, always excited to learn and contribute. And she is a fabulous member of Inroads who has held really important space in our spacious solidarity that Aditi has, dialogues that Aditi has pioneered, and I'm excited to hand over the microphone to the lovely Mickreen.
Thank you so much, Katie, and good morning, good afternoon to all the members. That was a powerful intro. I am super humbled to be here today, of course, not only as speaker, but representing the Mama Network. So yeah, briefly, as we go to the next slide, please. Yes, the Mama Network, as the introduction says, is the mobilizing activists around medical abortion. Basically, the network hosts over 42 organizations currently with 11 hotlines that support women in their self-managed abortions. And of course, it's a collaboration of grassroots activists and feminist groups based in sub-Saharan Africa, cutting across East, Southern, Western, and Central Africa. And we are proud to host that network that has grown over time. And one of the works of the network is to share evidence-based and stigma-free information about self-managed medical abortion and holistic sexual reproductive health and rights directly with women in the community. And why self-managed abortion? Most of the African countries, the sub-Saharan countries we are working with as a network, have highly legally restrictive abortion laws, which have really made it a challenge for women and girls and persons seeking abortion services to have access to medical abortion in health facilities. And that is where the network comes in, from training to research, to capacity building of network members to ensure that the communities they work in have accurate information on access to self-managed abortion, and of course, women and girls and persons seeking abortion services in their own comfort, in their own securities, have access to safe self-managed abortions. Next slide, please. And the Mama Network, why do we do this in a network of support as the Mama Network? Number one, the way I've mentioned is support the inter-organizations to women, just offering support and to find collaboration. Support is in terms of resources in terms of funds, in terms of materials, to support the organizations that we work with and the network that we work in, enable these organizations support adequate information to access to self-managed abortion, and of course, experience sharing. Kenya has a totally different experience to share compared to South Africa. Kenya has a highly restrictive abortion laws, and how do we work around this to ensure that women and girls have access to self-managed abortion information and whole experience? That is just an example comparing it to South Africa, whose legal environment is very friendly when it comes to access to abortion services. So in such a network, we share experiences amongst ourselves and open to hosting other networks that work on or plan to work on access to self-managed abortion. Another point is learning from each other. That correlates with the experience sharing. What has worked? What do we learn from each other? What are the common or the different challenges we experience as members of the network? And how do we learn and strengthen that and build up on that to make sure that our constituents have access to quality self-managed abortion processes, and capacity building from the existing hotlines to the new ones. And on that point, I'd gladly say that the Anti-Jane hotline was the first hotline, of course, to be developed and established in the network. And we were so proud to even teach other hotlines on how to develop hotline, how to provide information, and how to make sure that the constituents have correct, accurate information and managing their own abortions. Brief history of the Anti-Jane hotline. It was established in 2013. And in my profile, I talked about sexual violence and survivors of sexual violence. Why am I so passionate about that and linking it to the Anti-Jane hotline? The hotline was developed from a conversation with the women and girls we're working with in the informal settlements of Nairobi, where women and girls could not have access to comprehensive sexual reproductive health information, like holistically. And that was in the wake of the new constitutional dispensation in Kenya. And why was that a huge gap? Because even statistics have it that women and girls, 7 women and girls daily die from complications from unsafe abortions. And that conversation emanated from the communities we were working with. They were like, this is a gap. We are experiencing sexual violence, we're experiencing gender-based violence, but again, we cannot have access to comprehensive SRHR services, including safe abortion. And that is why the high rates of unsafe abortions in our communities were. So from that conversation, the hotline where women could confidently and in confidence ask for information on abortion emerged from. And from there, women and girls across Kenya could in a great deal have access to confidential information and referrals, and even have access to self-managed abortion services. And just for the target populations, 13 to over 49 years, because the hotline handles calls across the age brackets. Again, we have dedicated staff who sit at the hotline. And one thing about the hotline is it operates 24 hours, 7 days a week. Women, even in the middle of the night, they can have access to information. They can have access to referrals. And that has been a strong building brick to ensuring that our constituents have access to information when they need it, promptly and even access to self-managed abortion. And that brings in it being toll-free. The issue of pricing has always been a barrier when it comes to our constituents having access to the important and crucial abortion services. So we went toll-free just to make sure that women and girls who are in low economic zones have access to the information and have access to referrals and even self-managed abortion. And in the week of COVID, we delved into into digital spaces of providing the self-managed abortion services. Women and girls calling in the hotline, asking for information, and the medical abortion, the pills are delivered to them at their comfort. And it's very subsidized, and this has really improved and impacted in women having access to safe abortion. And of course, we have volunteers at the hotline and the trained staff. Next slide, please. The way I mentioned, we have a nationwide database of medical, legal, and psychosocial services. Oh, sorry. Yes. And yes, we have the national database for women who need self-managed abortion processes and referrals. They get confidential referral platforms and, of course, confidential information on self-managed abortion. Confidentiality is key because women and girls really need confidentiality when it comes to access to self-medicated abortions and even the abortion processes in itself, because of the legal restrictions that Kenya has when it comes to access to safe and legal abortion. And one challenge there has been is reaching the hard-to-reach area, the highly pastoralist communities where women and girls cannot have access to services, the infrastructure is poor, but that is something that we've been working on over time. Next slide, please. When we're talking about security, because security is key, security for counselors, security for service providers, and security for the callers themselves. One thing that we've taken pride in is not having a face to the hotline. Currently, I'm speaking on behalf of the Anti-Jane hotline, but when one searches for Anti-Jane hotline, there's no face to the hotline. And that has been a great security strategy just to protect the counselors and to protect the privacy of the hotline, of course, because the opposition is great in Kenya. So not having a face to the hotline has really helped to secure the security of the counselors, not having a physical address of the hotline. And that has also really helped because most people are like, where can we visit you? Where can we get you? And just saying that this is a platform, an online platform that provides information and referrals has really helped because there's no linkage to where the hotline is based. And another thing is having the counselors handle with one identity. All the 5 counselors handle calls with Anti-Jane hotline, hello, how can I help you today? Like everyone, every other counselor is Anti-Jane hotline. So that has also really helped protect the security of the counselors. Next slide, please. Security, again, for the counselors, password for all platforms. Our systems have been hacked before, and just having strong passwords has helped even provide information online, because we thrive in the social media platforms, all across the social media platforms. And our constituents reach out even through our social media platforms, asking for information on self-managed abortion and even referrals for surgical procedures. And just having a secured online space has really helped provide security for the counselors and standalone website. What do I mean by a standalone website? The standalone website is for the Anti-Jane hotline, very different from the Mama network, very different from the organizational networks. That is Tika, and that has really helped. And something that I also forgot to mention, we have trained doulas, we have trained community activists for providing and accompanying women in their own abortions in the community setup. when the hotline is not functional and when the women really and urgently need the services on ground. Next slide, please. For the callers, when the callers call in, they are allowed to use pseudonyms. And of course, in the instance of the call, security, confidentiality is always assured to the callers. And they're allowed to use pseudonyms, even upon referrals, they're allowed to use pseudonyms. That has really protected the data and the identities of our callers, and non-disclosure agreements with providers. When it comes to the instances of referrals, we have agreements with the providers not to share the caller information with anyone, not for research, not for anything, to protect the identity of the callers who visit the health facilities. Next slide, please. And as I wind up, for the providers, I've talked about the non-disclosure agreement. Their security is intact, their identity is protected with us. That has also helped with quality service provision for the women and girls who seek the services at the facilities. And again, not providing personal details of providers upon referrals. We just provide the contacts and we say, that's a facility number. Tell them you've been referred to them by Auntie Jane and you will get all the help you need. Yes, next slide, please. Thank you so much. And that is Auntie Jane. Anytime a person who needs safe abortion in Kenya, they can call, they can WhatsApp, they can text us. And definitely, we are so proud to be providing safe abortion information and services in Kenya. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sheila Odongo. I am with Inroads. I have the pleasure of introducing Ika, who will be the next presenter. So Ika Ayi is the director of Samsara, a feminist organization in Indonesia that aims to improve women's reproductive justice and promote bodily integrity and autonomy. Ika works to create a world without discrimination, where everyone's sexual and reproductive rights are fully recognized, respected, and fulfilled. She's a very passionate feminist, an activist and researcher, and is also the coordinator for National Safe Abortion Working Group in Indonesia. So welcome, Ika.
Thank you, Sheila. And also thank you for Awi, thank you for Inroads for hosting this important session. Thank you also for all colleagues that comes from so many different countries and from so many different time zones. I have a video to play and I will accompany you with my narration while we play this video. Okay, in this time, I'd like to share to you about the abortion reality in Indonesia, a journey of freedom and the movement that shaped today's reality. And I hope all of you enjoy my short narration. I want to start with how the limitation of sexual and reproductive health, education, and access could bring out many implications that can jeopardize women, mostly those who are discriminated by the law. And with this topic, the freedom and the movement, I want to share a discussion. I want to raise a discussion about how then safe abortion become a tools to find our freedom, to get our freedom, and how we can shape the movement through the safe abortion side. And in Indonesia, as the limitation of the sexual and reproductive health access are so limited, I'm sorry, I think I want to tell all of you that this video has no sound, so I will accompany you during the video is playing and tell you about the story behind the video. So yeah, we can continue to play in the video and you can listening to my narration. I hope the video is playing. Yeah, we can. Okay, yeah. Well, there is no mandatory comprehensive sexual education. We have no access to the information, and most of the information or education provider is going from the civil society groups. And we have actually so many variation of perspective and approach. We still have a stigmatized information on the sexual and education, or we have like what Samsara do, we have a stigma, free from stigma education. And this lack of education and also access is led to so many problems that we face in Indonesia today. So take a look on the law context in Indonesia. The status of abortion in Indonesia is legal restricted. It's only a law under 2 indication. The law criminalizes people who access or finding abortion, and even in the new version of the penal code, people other than doctor and healthcare provider could be criminalized of sharing information and education on abortion and contraception. And also by the law, it is legal, but it is restrictive. So if you are a rape survivor, the only option you have is if your case is a proven rape case, you need to have permission from the assigned counselor, you assigned doctor and the police officer to access this law. Or if your pregnancy is harm your life, your pregnancy must be less than 40 days, or you need to have permission from your husband and your family or your custody. So this law is actually cannot be accessed by even from the subject that is mentioned in the law. But the challenge that we have in Indonesia is actually not stopped only from the law context. The strong stigma from the media, the threat of criminalization, it's become the barriers that restrict people to even realize, to be aware that they have other choice other than continuing their pregnancy. And when you want to have an opinion about your situation, your pregnancy situation, what choices you can have, you will get really high stigmatized by the professional health worker if you asking a question on abortion or get an objection based on the moral factor that is still very strongly held by the health worker in our context. And today, with the rise of the internet or the digital life, the community is even getting more harsh to force their moral value against safe abortion. Like we can see like so many negative comments are placed in the social media, in so many platforms, denying about the situation of abortion and how people with unplanned pregnancy have no choices that could endanger and also could harm their life even more. And I want to take you to an imagination of our context in Indonesia. So within the race of the internet use, within the race of the digital reality that we have today, yes, the information is widely spread in the internet. But when you have an unplanned or you have an unintended pregnancy situation, and when you try to find some information about your pregnancy, like you don't want to continue your pregnancy, you will find thousands of articles, like bunch of news about criminalization. And yeah, it makes you feel trapped. It makes you feel alone because there are so many negative comments. There are so many negative internet users who keep bully and makes you feel like you have no hope, you have nothing left in your life within your searching, within your trying on the internet. And all of the criminalization news made you feel so desperate and suffocated. And yeah, the rate of the criminalization in Indonesia is now also high. I want to like share that we might see like one case is very big and get a very high spotlight from the media, but the problem is there are still so many like small cases that happen that even got no attention from the public, and yeah, they just get criminalized by the police officer, by the state. And every news that when you try to find like a better information, when you try on how or what choices that you have in the internet, then the only news that you can have is only about abortion could danger your life, abortion is criminal, it is a sin, you need to continue your pregnancy. People like blocking you from looking for good information or access, like don't do abortion because it is so harmful. The stigma is still around on how people have, like women or pregnant people have to follow their duty as women who have to continue their pregnancy. And there are still so many myths that is spread all over the internet. And as a person who wants abortion, like I will try to have everything that I can have to stop my pregnancy. As you can see, like in the video that I play, there is an illustration that someone like used a tree trunk to stop the pregnancy, like doing intensive exercise, eat tons of pineapple, like mix some herbal drinks. And also you will think that every attempt is a way to end the pregnancy, while it is not. So the stigma and the myth are still strongly held by people in Indonesia. And that's the fact, that's the reality that often denied by the society and by the state. It feels like you are alone, like no one to talk, and it always become a difficult situation because when you think about, even when you think about assessing abortion, you will got a criminal threat or like your internal stigma, like telling you that if you want to continue your pregnancy, you might have like you have to face a forced marriage, expelled from school. But within all of the challenge in Indonesia, where to find abortion access then? In the slide, you can see that we have a clinical service actually, but the term and requirement are too strict and not accessible for all. And we can access information from Hotline. We can access information and counseling from Hotline, who provide a comprehensive step by a trained counselor. And also many of pregnant people who seeking for abortion access it, the pill at the marketplace with a very high possibility of getting fake pill or getting an expensive, a very expensive price of pill. And yes, this point can jeopardize women's life from many aspects because it could be like one attempt to buy the pill. It could be like you need the second time to attempt the pill. But we have the self-managed abortion. The thing that we really love about self-managed abortion is we can use it as an attempt to access our reproductive right with a widely open and free from stigma information. We can claim our power and control and doing abortion by our own, because self-managed abortion for us is about autonomy. It is our power. It is in our hand to shape our life. And how can we put build this and shape this feminist reality, our feminist revolution by the side of the abortion work. Our experience in Samsara shows that by building collaboration and movement are essential to create a better situation. We conducted series of midwives training. We conducted series of school of sexuality and reproductive health in many rural areas. And also, in our recent year, our focus is on working on the rural and remote area because in our context, the information is so rarely distributed to the rural and remote area. And the highest number of maternal and mortality rate in Indonesia is coming from the rural and remote area because of the lack of the healthcare facility, the lack of information. We have no internet connection in the rural or remote area. And because we believe that by distributing knowledge, by raising awareness, by improving the movement, strengthening the collaboration, it could be a power to improve and strengthen the awareness and knowledge on safe abortion. And one of our most important feminist work is running a hotline that is designed as a youth-centered care, a women-centered care, and a harm reduction strategy. We call it a sexual reproductive health and unplanned pregnancy hotline with the feminist values on supporting women to enable pregnant people accessing information and counseling to have their own abortion without judgment, without discrimination, without stigma, and in a safe and secure way. And also we provide a confidential counseling. We chat, we talk, we listen to their story through the phone, through the mobile phone, and also we discuss every doubt, we discuss every story that they have regarding their unplanned pregnancy situation and what choices that they could have after they assessing their situation with during our counseling session. So during our session, we transform their doubt into a strong and a powerful decision for themselves and not for others, because as we know, so many clients, so many women, so many people who are seeking for abortion always keep thinking about other than thinking about themselves. So during the counseling, we discuss everything. We provide stages of counseling and also referring them to access the pill from a recommended seller so that our client knows that choices are available for them. Choices are there. We, as the hotline counselor, are here. Our allies are here to support the choice. And we believe that this become a loving journey that is part of our self-care, our self-love that will liberate us. And as I mentioned in the title, that abortion is freedom. We know we have restriction because I tell you a lot about challenge and restriction, but we are also know that we are here hand to hand to support each other to fight our freedom. And I believe that each of us have the right to that freedom. I guess that's the end of my story and narration about safe abortion, the journey of freedom and also the movement from our experience in Samsara. Thank you for listening and joining my story. Thank you, Sela. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ika. I'm Tabby. I'm with Inroads, and I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Zachi. Zachi is a Black queer abortion doula and sex and pleasure educator. She recently created Dopo, a collective and soon to be cooperative, providing honest and inclusive abortion care and education. She's a trustee at Pride UK, a telefriending volunteer at Opening Doors, which is an LGBTQ plus charity for people over 50, and is also a co-facilitator at Safe Spaces for Black Women. In short, she supports individuals through transitional experiences and builds communities around our shared stories. All of her work aligns with her personal mission to improve reproductive and sexual health services for all.
Hello. I can't see myself. I'm not sure if you can see me. Please let me know if you can hear me though. And I can start. Okay,
We can.
perfect. Thank you. I thought I'd be able to see myself, but I can't. Anyway, so thank you, Inroads and Awid, for having me here, and thank you for everyone that shared before. It's great to be in community, and it's great to be here today with you to share some of the work that we're doing at Dopo alongside so many other fabulous organizations around the world. So I wanted to go back to why we're here. We're here to talk about access to safe abortion. And I wanted to look at what does safe abortion mean in the context of Dopo? Dopo works internationally, but before I get into what we do, the definition of safe for us is safe both physically and also on an emotional level. So what do we do at Dopo? Dopo combines self-care, community care, and healthcare to support individuals before, during, and after their abortion experience. We focus on people, not necessarily pregnancy or politics, and I'll explain that in a minute, and also care and not choice. Why do I say not pregnancy or politics? Well, for many of us, we see that the focus around abortion is actually focused on pregnancy, meaning that the care stops once the pregnancy is over, when actually care should go beyond that. And also we say politics because we're an international community and politics are different everywhere. Although the work we do is very much shared, our goals are the same, and the need to build community, build communities of care is also the same. And we also focus on care and not choice, because we recognize that also some people don't have a choice. Whether that's because of racism, the Euro-patriarchal society that has done a lot of the damage in the communities that we live in. And so it's for some people, it's not a free choice. And so whether it's a free choice or not, our focus is on care. And when we talk about communities of care at Dopo, it's both communities of care for people that seek abortions and for those that provide care. I will say now that we will soon be a cooperative where both of these groups, so people seeking care and providing care, can collectively decide how we grow as an organization, engage and support our communities. So why Dopo, or what does the word Dopo mean? So Dopo means after in Italian. And I chose this name because abortion is often viewed as this brief experience. For some people, it's lasts a few hours, when in reality, for many of us, it goes beyond that. Our abortions affect sometimes whether we can keep our jobs, whether we have to take time off work. It affects our relationships sometimes, how we feel about ourselves. And this means, yeah. So looking at the Dopo, for us, focusing on how women and people feel after their abortion, where there is often a void. And this after is so important, and is very much decided and informed by everything that happens before. From when they first found out about abortion, when they were a child or a young person, or even in their adulthood, how they were cared for, how they were not cared for, who they felt, if they had people that they could speak to or tell or not. So we've gone after, but if I look at the beginning or what inspired the creation of this community, what inspired me to do this work. When I was 22, I got pregnant. The pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. And then I had to have an abortion because there was some complications. And after that, I found myself in this numbing depression and a loneliness that I had never felt before and have never felt since then. And at the time, I couldn't find any organizations or spaces that could support me. The few that I did find were centered around post-miscarriage services and helping women and their husbands mourn the loss of a child and plan the next pregnancy. There was no support for people like me who weren't grieving a missed chance of parenthood, but more the loss of any sense of myself and a huge amount of shame that was this unspoken space of care, or the lack of care that was around me. And so when I was in that depression 7 years ago, I really hoped for a space that understood what I was going through without needing to like justify or over-explain or even gloss over this orb of contradictory emotions I was holding. I wanted advice on how to be compassionate towards myself, to reconnect with my body, and also just to feel free to be or to speak or explore what this reality meant for me. In essence, I really just needed someone to be there for me. And the ideal space, when I think about what the ideal space would have been, it would be able to expand care beyond this like one-point medical solution to a person-centered approach that incorporates the intersection between self-care, community care, and healthcare. A space that understood and supported both the somatic, so the physical and emotional sides of the abortion before, during, and after, and that also allows connection through shared experience while giving space for individuals to honor and explore their own experience. And so I became like this solo support abortion person, or doula, depending if you're familiar with that word. And after 5 years of providing this support working solo, during COVID, there were a large amount of people, more people than usual, who reached out to me seeking support, because COVID meant that more people were having abortions in isolation. So they didn't even have like the distractions of going to work or the office. Like, people really had to sit with themselves. In addition to that, it was people that had had abortions like 5-10 years ago who were reaching out and saying, now I have space to explore it, I want to speak about it. So it was supporting a lot more people, and many of those people also started asking me to teach them how to support other people. And that was a really wonderful moment. And I think this is something that many others have expressed this afternoon, is that care doesn't stop with one person. It really overflows when you start supporting someone or teaching about care or creating communities of care. Care is abundant. Care is abundant, allows abundance for caring for yourself. It allows abundance for caring for your community. And this is really, really, I don't know, it brings my heart joy. So when I say I created Dopo, I actually really didn't. It's very much been this collective approach to improving care from people that I've supported, my own experience, and people that are coming into the community continuously. So Dopo was really created in March this year, and we continue to provide one-to-one support and group support for people who have abortions. Before this looks like talking with people, before an abortion, it's like talking with people about their concerns, confusions, care plans, and signposting to providers. During, it's really being there. And being there can both be helping someone stay present, managing pain, and also like being there and helping to distract them from that pain sometimes. So if we're like looking at a care plan, it's like, what film do you want to watch? Or do you have food after? Or do you have a safe place that you can go? And after, it's a lot about debriefing, discussing how their experience was. And this after can be their abortion was 2 weeks ago, their abortion was 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. And soon after, the other side of what we do, so once we launched, soon after we started working also with, I started working really closely with someone called Carly Maines, who is both my friend and my love, from the US, who also provides abortion support in clinics. And based on like calls that we'd had from our individual communities, we joined together and we developed a 6-week training for people who wanted to provide support in their communities. We ran our first training in May, which finished in June this year. And there were 70 participants from 20 countries across 4 across continents. So that was South America, Central America, North America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. We will also soon be running our second training in November this year. I did add to the chat, I think applications are closed, but if you are interested and can get your application in today or tomorrow, please email me. And the last thing I wanted to say about this course is we didn't build this to build support people or doulas that behave like us. Like, we doula for our community. We created this course really to help people to become the support people that their communities need. And there's really like not a one size fits all model to care. And we believe that that's our strength at Dopo, because Kali and I are not keepers of knowledge, but we facilitate a collective learning experience where we can exchange and learn from each other, support each other as laws change, as secure technological platforms are created. As we as humans evolve in our use of language, in our approach to care, in how we view and aim to support abortion. And so going back to creating better afters or improving this Dopo is both about creating safer and better communities of people that seek abortion care, and also creating better communities, strengthening those communities by creating communities of care people within communities. Oh, that was a lot of communities. But yes, there's a link to our website and also the training. And if you have any questions, we can go into them more in the group discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone who's been sharing for the last 45 minutes. It's care is abundant. I can read that in the chat. It's not just feminist reality. I feel like there's a lot of wisdom from all the work. We're going to take a quick 3-minute break for anyone who needs to go to the washroom, get some water. And in this 3-minute break, we encourage you to gather a piece of paper or a notebook, some pencils, a pen, if you have colors around colors. And we will need a mirror, or if you don't have a mirror, a phone for the final activity that we're going to do. When you're back from the break, you're going to have to choose a breakout room that you wish to be in. And there will be instructions on the screen of how to choose which breakout room you want to join. You'll hear a song in another 3 minutes to welcome you back. So please enjoy the break. Great. As everyone comes back, you'll find the instructions of how to join the breakout rooms on the screen in front of you. So we encourage you to choose a breakout room, join a breakout room. We'll be in the breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. So do join one where you have questions, you want to ask a little bit and take the conversation further. And do chat to either Kathleen or Heather if you have trouble joining the breakout rooms. Thank you so much for sticking with us for this time. For those who have to leave, we appreciate you being here. For those who are going to join the breakout rooms, we look forward to meeting with you there. And we will gather back for a short closing activity together once the breakout rooms wrap up. So do join the breakout rooms. Thank you so much. So welcome back, everyone from the breakout rooms. We do acknowledge that that was a very short interaction. We are running a little over time, so we thought we'd give space for 1 or 2 questions. And I hope that with the live streaming and with other ways that we can be in touch. I'll invite Daniela now to take us through our closing activity for the day. So, Daniela, si puedes.
Listo. Hola de nuevo, amigas, amigues, amigos. Estoy muy contenta, muy entusiasmada de esta sesión. La verdad es que se siente el amorcito abortero por acá. Entonces, quiero pasar a la siguiente actividad, un poquito de arte para que nos relajemos, para que nos distraigamos un poquito, traigan sus colores, marcadores, crayones, acuarelas, todo lo que ustedes quieran que pinte, incluso si no tienen físicamente cositas, está bien, pueden traer el Paint, ¿no? En la aplicación de su celular, en la aplicación de sus computadoras, aparte de todo lo que tiene que ver con pintar hojitas, ¿no? De preferencia recicladas para que no estemos desperdiciando hojitas. ¿Qué más? Un espejo o la cámara de sus celulares funciona también, ¿vale? Entonces, ya que tengamos todo esto, pueden poner musiquita de fondo, se pueden poner sus audífonos o simplemente estarnos escuchando por acá. Y bueno, vamos a ponernos manos a la obra. Quiero que con su espejo o con su cámara de su celular o con la foto que tengan a la mano de ustedes mismos, se miren, se admiren, se gocen, ¿verdad? Y vamos a empezar a dibujar esa parte de su cuerpo, de sus cuerpas, de su rostro que más les guste. Quizás son esos ojos que han visto evolucionar al movimiento día con día, quizás es esa boca de la que salen las consignas más increíbles en las marchas, ¿verdad? Pueden ser esos pies que han sostenido esta lucha, su lucha, colaborado en la lucha de sus equipos, puede ser las manos, ¿verdad? Con la que textean todo el tiempo respondiendo a esas personas que buscan atención en aborto seguro, no lo sé. Puede ser su vientre, pueden ser sus caderas, puede ser su busto, su cabello, lo que ustedes gusten, váyanlo dibujando. Vamos a ir dibujando esa parte de nuestro cuerpo que más nos gusta. Y bueno, vamos a ir reflexionando sobre el por qué nos gusta esa parte de nuestro cuerpo, sobre qué es lo que hemos vivido y aprendido a través de esa parte de su cuerpo, quizás su cuerpo completo, quizás todo su rostro. ¿Qué parte ha tomado en esta lucha de su día a día esa parte de su cuerpo? Y váyanla dibujando, váyanla trazando, disfruten cada una de esas líneas que ustedes vayan a hacer, pónganles el color que quieran, delíñenla, disfrútenlo. Identifiquen esas emociones que se han transmitido a través de esa parte de su cuerpo, quizá ira, a veces frustración, tristeza, pero también resalten esa parte de su cuerpo que les ha dado alegrías, esfuerzos, cooperación, compañerismo, lucha. Es importante que podamos resaltar todo eso. Quizá en estos momentos incluso les pueda venir a la cabeza alguna frase que les motivó a seguir luchando, ya sea que haya venido de sus propios labios, de alguna compañera, incluso de alguna acompañada, ¿no? Pensemos en eso y quizá también podamos ponerle algunas letras por ahí. Yo sé que estamos cortitas de tiempo, ¿no? Pero podemos quizá comenzarlo y terminarlo más tarde, ¿no? Es importante que delineemos todo eso, que nos identifiquemos, que nos veamos, pese a todos estos estándares de belleza inalcanzable que el patriarcado nos ha puesto al final del día. Este es nuestro cuerpo con el que nos movemos, con el cuerpo con el que resistimos, con el cuerpo con el que hemos acompañado a muchas personas en sus procesos de aborto, con el que estamos trabajando día a día para transformar realidades, para construir realidades feministas. Muchas veces pensamos que es el futuro, ¿no? Pero no. Es el ahora, lo estamos logrando, el patriarcado se está cayendo y lo estamos tumbando entre todas, entre todos. Entonces, vamos a ir delineando todas esas líneas. ¿Cómo van? ¿Creen que tengan ahí algún avance lindo? Sí, estaría hermoso que lo podamos ir viendo. Yo sé que estamos cortas de tiempo, perdón. Pero creo que podemos ir generando algo muy bonito que nos recuerde todo esto que hacemos en el día a día. Las dejo que se concentren. Al final somos seres hechos de buenas, malas experiencias, de experiencias mejorables. Gracias, Sheila. It's your heart. Increíble. Gracias, Aditi. Qué hermoso. Si alguien más tiene algo que vaya terminando, pues nos puede enseñar. Abortion is love. Gracias, sí, qué hermosa, esos labios preciosos. Gracias, Aditi. No se preocupen, si ahorita no lo terminan, está perfectamente bien, pero dense un tiempo para terminarlo. La verdad es que yo antes era como súper renegona de la arteterapia, pero a través de este tiempo me ha ayudado mucho para sacar sentimientos, para ir como dándole orden a mis ideas, color a mis ideas, forma a esos sentimientos que se quedan, porque pues esta lucha no es fácil, ¿verdad? Pero aquí estamos, continuando, y sobre todo lo que platicábamos en los breakout rooms, es que no somos pocas, estamos en todos lados. Estamos en todos lados, les guste al patriarcado o no. Entonces, con esto en mente, amigas, quiero decirles que, bueno, con ley o sin ley, las personas, las mujeres, las niñas, las adolescentes, seguimos abortando. Y bueno, merecemos que esos abortos sean seguros, sean amorosos, sean dignos, sean acompañados, sean informados, pero sobre todo que sean felices, ¿no? Que no nos tenemos por qué conformar con menos. A veces no basta la legalidad para tener este tipo de abortos, pero aquí estamos trabajando juntas y juntas para sostenerlos. La verdad es que este movimiento de acompañantes de Doulas está generando grandes cambios. Recordarnos a todas, a todos que esta lucha sigue con nuestra alegre rebeldía al frente. Muchísimas gracias por haber estado aquí y pues de verdad, terminen sus dibujos cada que tengan oportunidad, háganlo con sus propias colectivas, con sus equipos y pues bueno, nos estamos viendo pronto. Ojalá podamos seguir teniendo este tipo de espacios y conectando a través de muchísimas geografías.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniela, so much. And I want to welcome everybody. If anybody is interested in joining the Inroads network, do check us out on makeinroads.org. And thank you for gathering with us here today. It was a pleasure. Goodbye for now. And thanks for sticking a little over time. Thank you so much. Good night and good day to everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Hasta luego. Gracias.